Nerdverse, bringing you yet another episode. My name is Travis. I'm joined, as always, by my fantastic co hosts, Eric, Ryan, and James. This week, we're going to be talking about TTRPGs, that is tabletop role playing game, for those of you uninitiated, and what you can expect and what it takes to get started. Uh, but first, we're going to go through our nerdy news bits. We're going to skip over Ryan, who is getting over what I can only assume is a gift of Nurgle.
That is a fact.
So we'll go ahead and start with Eric. Eric, you got some news for us, man?
Um, really, just I've actually gotten to play a little bit of the new No Man's Sky. It's pretty good. I'm enjoying it. Again, I'm actually playing it on my Mac now instead of like the regular
You
computer.
Mac growth.
So it's very different. Not quite as fluid as I would like. Oh, but the graphics are nice. So I don't know. It's cool. But yeah, it's definitely worth it. I take a look at the new No Man's Sky. I love how they keep adapting and changing it. It's awesome. It shows that you never have to like give up on a project. Even if it sucks, you can save it.
They definitely
Which
turned that
brings
game around, like, big
right.
time.
So I'm hoping my hockey team keeps doing it and maybe they can be like No Man's Sky one day. Um,
No, for real though,
that's
I
all I
agree with
got.
Eric.
Somewhere with the Bears football franchise.
Dude, the people running No Man's Sky should try to turn them around. If they can turn the Bears around, they can fucking cure cancer.
That would honestly be the biggest miracle, I think, if a gaming company took over a football team and they're like, "We fixed it."
We fixed it. Yeah.
We pushed out a couple of patch updates, and turns out the Bears were fine all along.
Well, and No Man's Sky has taken a very interesting approach on how they're handling their game right now. Because not only have they taken one of the most rocky launches for a video game in
Dude,
history,
it was a terrible launch.
The only
but
launch worse was probably Concord. Let's totally be
yeah,
honest,
I
everybody.
think I agree.
I mean, I don't know. Cyberpunk was pretty bad,
Cyberpunk was
Cyberpunk
bad.
is up there,
Like,
but also
but
made a
they've
good comeback.
yeah, that
yeah.
is true. But No Man's Sky is
Concord's not so much.
legitimately one of my favorite video games of all time right now. It's easily in my top 5, and I'd have to really think about it to figure out where it lands. But they've taken an interesting approach with what they're doing with the game, because not only have they turned it into something absolutely amazing with a amazing story, critical gameplay, and a lot of new features, they continue to improve the existing game, as well as using the game as a kind of unofficial testing ground for mechanics they want to implement in their upcoming game, Light No Fire. And so we've seen a lot of mechanics in No Man's Sky, things like fishing, custom ship creation,
Oh, Ryan Zed
cooking.
fishing mechanic. That's it.
Yeah,
That's all it takes to make a great game. For Ryan is a fishing mechanic.
I love me a fishing mechanic. But yeah, they've done that, and so they're making No Man's Sky better and better and better, all while continuing to improve on their upcoming release, Light No Fire. Something I respect.
So,
I have high hopes for Light No Fire. I hope it's uh, good and that it's not just big and empty. That's my
I
biggest
agree.
fear right now is that it's going to be because it's huge, right? The world is huge.
Yeah,
It,
it's supposed to be a legitimately like planet
yeah,
Earth-sized map.
and so like my
which is
only
gonna be
concern
rough.
is that it's like going to be super empty everywhere. But
Well,
Well,
I mean,
and I'm hoping that they took the cautionary tale of Starfield, right? Because that was the biggest complaint with Starfield. Nobody really cared about the bugs because it's a Bethesda game. We knew what we were getting into.
Bugger feature.
expecting it.
Yeah.
Bugger
Um,
feature.
but the fact that you could explore an entire planet, but there was nothing in it, was just a huge pothole. And so I'm hoping they saw the fan feedback from Starfield and adapted accordingly.
I would much rather have a more confined map with plenty to do as opposed to an expansive map that's just kind of dead. But
My only thing
we're
that worries me is just they haven't put in a lot of like. Well, there's a lot to do in No Man's Sky. There isn't a lot of like missiony type things.
it's
Like
But
kind of a
that's my thing
survival and
with it. So
explorer game, so I mean it's
yeah,
that
I
kind of
mean, it is,
tracks.
but like I know, but I would like to see a little bit more. Like, hopefully, the next one has those things in
Some
it.
mission driven
Uh,
activity.
yeah, like start incorporating like social things. You've got such an expansive world. Even if you have just the players drive it, that would be kind of cool. So like you could set up like an NPC to like I don't know run a store and like do different things like that on different planets.
Speaking of social, this is a segue for Bones to jump into his news.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Bones didn't have you didn't have anything ready to go.
I mean, I do have news.
Oh,
I don't know how it's tied to social.
Yeah, I don't
it's
know.
not. I was just
Uh,
we were getting way off topic.
so a couple things. Borderland 4 launched
Yep.
today. Unlocked for PCs and consoles coming tomorrow, I believe.
Yep. At midnight
Or-
tonight.
or-
so
yeah, something. And Marvel Rivals season 4 coming on Friday with Angela at launch and Daredevil halfway through.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
there's some people
Um,
very hyped for Daredevil
Also, Demon Slayer Infinity Castle hits theaters tomorrow as well.
tomorrow.
Very exciting.
That's a big
Channing
one.
Tatum voices in that. I didn't know that. Learned that today.
You know what?
I'm
I'm
just-
glad to see some anime style movies hitting theaters, especially in the States. I think that's real exciting.
Also, man, the Absolute Batman has been fucking phenomenal. We got our first
Amazing.
looks at the Riddler, Penguin, and somebody else.
Pretty sure it's
I'll
I'll have
pronounced
to check it
Penguin.
out.
I watched
Yeah.
a documentary.
And aside from that, I actually wanted to ask you guys a question, a comic book related question.
Oh, okay.
I saw it
Hit
on TikTok, and I thought it was a pretty good question. So, if you had to pick a superhero who is going to hunt you for 24 hours, you get that hero's powers, but not their experience. Who do you pick?
So, give us an example, because I'm kind of a little blah.
You have
Who
to
would you pick,
have
Bones?
to evade him for 24 hours. This is the challenge here.
I'm going Hellboy.
Hellboy. All right.
I get some resiliency, some physical capabilities, and all I gotta do is run away for a day. So
I mean, I'd go Green Lantern just because I think it'd be fun.
oh, you're
That's
so
gonna be-
smoked.
That's a rough evasion. That is a
Yeah,
rough
you are
evasion.
so smoked.
Yeah, but I get the
you're
powers
getting-
too, right? To evade.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
not,
but you got to
not-
learn how to use it, man.
Yeah,
Like,
you get powers, but not the experience.
I will immediately turn into a red one with anger, and I'll be good. I will evade. I'm not
No.
worried.
so I never gave the Green Lanterns much like thought, right? I never read the comics. I knew he was part of the Justice League, and the Green Lantern could do like stuff. I got into it maybe a year ago. I started reading some of Kyle Rayner's run, and what the Green Lanterns are capable of is unbelievable. To the point where, like, realistically, he's faster than Flash and stronger than Superman.
He's
Like-
not faster than Flash, actually, though. Wally
But
West
with-
is literally the fastest character in comic
Yeah.
books.
No, and I
Period.
agree with that. What I'm focusing on now, they can't like turn back time in theory, right? I'm sure they probably could, but you're talking about no vehicle needed. You can just use your ring to enter interstellar travel, galaxy hop instantaneously.
So can Wally
Like,
West.
So can Wally West, but I
You don't
never.
need to breathe. He's
Yeah.
fast.
he doesn't need to breathe because he's so fast that he's just from one breathable place to the next.
Yeah.
Ooh,
And
that's
so
pretty
it's
cool.
something I
My-
didn't
my-
know about the Green Lanterns.
My answers are either Darwin, because
Oh, there you
what
go.
Are you gonna
Survive
do?
it, baby.
You're just gonna be adapting to each other the whole time, and it's gonna be stalemate.
Yeah.
Or Iska, the Unbeaten, because you
Oh,
can't lose.
Unbeaten.
That's
Her power is literally you can't lose. So again,
I would love
seems like
because
it'll
y'all
be-
would just meet and team up.
Yeah.
Like both of the powers just make y'all on the same side. There you win.
I'm going Domino.
Domino's
Ooh, luck.
a thought I had as well, but I don't know. It could be rough.
It'd be-
Domino has died several times. So
Domino has died.
Oh, watching
But
Domino
again-
chase Domino would be like watching two Acanthus fight in Magic or in
Yeah.
Mage the Awakening. Like,
Mage, yeah.
Yeah, like I'm just
Deadpool,
saying.
Deadpool. There's another good
I'm
one.
just saying, fate would go both of our directions, and maybe we wouldn't even have to face off, and that would be.
right?
I said fate manipulation. I had a knee jerk reaction of being like, oh, Scarlet Witch, and then I was like, no experience on that. I'm getting smoke instantly. I'd be like, I have phenomenal cosmic power. Oh, I've been atomized.
Well, it's kind of like Wolverine, right? Like I don't
Yeah.
want that because he may not be able to kill me, but he'll just bury me.
Here's the thing
Yeah,
about it.
And,
though,
and
like,
he's a way better fighter than you are.
yeah,
And
the
I get his
healing-
powers, but not as adamantine. So
healing factor does not mean pain mitigation either.
exactly
Like,
right.
I'd be crippled the first time he stabbed me. I'd just be like, "This sucks. This was a
Yeah.
stupid choice." Like,
Well, and not to mention, I'm a lazy dude, right? Like Wolverine's got decades of like I can deal with the
No,
pain. I've been
centuries. He
trained.
has centuries
Like
of
yeah,
experience.
centuries.
Somebody,
Meanwhile, I'm like, cool. I
somebody
don't know,
said
beard hunter.
T'Challa,
Like
and I feel like that is like probably the worst fucking answer.
yeah, no way I
Because
go with
okay,
T'Challa.
you get his abilities.
Oh, no.
Maybe you get his suit, but I don't think his abilities
Who?
kind of count. But also, T'Challa knows like every martial art.
Black
basically.
Panther.
Yeah.
So,
Oh
Black
yeah,
Panther.
no.
But like, if you get his powers, you get what spirit talk, heightened
strength and
agility.
Hear me
Yeah.
out.
strength and
I'm taking Batman. Right, his power is money, and I'm hiring Deathstroke to keep him distracted while I get away. Like, that's
Yep.
I mean, almost any hero
got
you
it figured
pick, though,
out.
you'd have no chance against because they all learn how to use their shit. It would be so hard to
Oh, yeah.
truly pick
Well-
someone. Like,
Well, that's why
what I'm
that's
saying.
why I
I
went
would
with
go Green Lantern.
I went with the
because
passive
I'd be
ability.
red
There's
real
there's
fast.
nothing to learn. It just
Yeah,
works.
same.
Like
Yeah.
it just happens.
But it's kind of scary choosing something like Batman, right? Because what if I choose Tony Stark? It's like, okay, I'm brilliant. I have no resources, no money, no backup, no
He built an arc reactor
facilities.
in a cave with a bunch of scraps. So
yeah, but
maybe...
he's not doing that now. He has all
Yeah.
of his stuff.
Yeah, you're definitely a big step behind there.
Yeah. Well, that's why I go Hellboy, right? Like, all right, so I'm ugly and easy to identify, makes it easier to track me, but like, I'm pretty resilient. I got some physical stuff. Doesn't take much to learn how to use it.
I'm glad nobody chose Flash as their
Oh God,
like person.
the
That would be the
paradoxes.
funniest. It wouldn't even be paradoxes. Trying to control like the speed of thought for you to make adjustments while moving that fast would be comical. Like it would be hilarious. Just
They make it look
splattering
easy in the
yourself
comic
and-
books.
Yeah, just splatting yourself as you clip the very edge of a door, running at Mach Jesus and going end over end for 2 miles would
It's
be
Jesus.
so funny.
Well, it's kind of like have you ever watched The Boys? It's like A Train in season 1, right? It's like, oh crap, I'm sorry.
Yeah, oh, that would be awful.
Yeah.
All right. I just wanted to
All
throw
right,
that
so-
out. That was
Yeah.
fun.
I do have
Okay.
one bit of unplugged gamer news, and then we'll roll into
Okay.
it before the 15-minute mark.
No,
It's
we have
very
my
short.
news too. We can't skip.
Um,
Man. I got.
Oh yeah,
Poor
nobody cares
Oh.
about Travis.
We're just gonna talk about how great I am.
So obviously we have the Spider-Man set is getting ready to go full bore, taking over the Magic Gathering scene basically everywhere.
19th, I think.
I do have a little bit of news for those of you that are not excited about the expanded universe stuff and are not excited about the Spider-Man set or any of the sets that have come out similar. We did get a sneak peek of Lorwyn's re-release on the horizon. I think it's called Lorwyn Eclipse. And so very excited for that. Lorwyn was a fan favorite Magic set. To see it come back with some more love, I'm very excited about. So
September 26th, by the way, for the Spider-Man release. I just looked that up. I thought it was the 19th, but I was wrong.
yeah, there we go.
My little piece of news is, of course, wrestling related because it's probably always going to be with me. But AJ Lee has made her triumphant return back to the WWE. I'm super excited. She has not aged a day.
No,
I don't think. Yeah, she came skipping down to the ring, and I was like, "Why are they showing a clip?" And I was like, "Oh no, that's her now." So
pure vampire. I don't know.
yeah,
How,
dude,
I don't know. How,
I'm glad AJ Lee is back. I was sad when she left. She is a phenomenal professional. It's definitely one of the people that was part of that segue between like the Divas era, which was not great in women's professional wrestling, to actual like legitimate female professional wrestlers. She was one of those transitional superstars, and so again, good to see her back. She's feuding with Becky Lynch, so
yeah, and not
All
only
right.
that, I love watching her fight because it's kind of like a halfling fighter in D&D, right? You don't
She's so
expect that
tiny.
amount of violence to come out of that thing.
she's tough though, dude. Big
Yeah,
E,
she is,
like
absolutely.
big Ettore punched her in the chest on accident one time, and she played it off like it was no problem. She just she shrugged that off. Like if he had hit me in the chest the way he hit her, I'd have retired. Like that would have
Yep.
been it.
All right,
Right.
main rank.
So, just everybody remember, if you want something clip it. Anyways, so we're gonna get into the real topic now. We're talking like basic bare bones, like TTRPG. A couple people asked me to share the link, which I'm excited about. So hopefully, there's a couple people watching and checking us out. So the first thing I want to talk about in regards to TTRPG is going to be literally the core concept of what it is to play a tabletop RPG. Now, what I mean by that, and you three can definitely go more in depth with it, I'm just going to do kind of a broad thing. So basically, what it is it's collaborative storytelling between everybody at the table. Yes, your storyteller, DM, whatever you refer to as the main person that is the equivalent of like your god in a sense.
Depends on whether
Who-
or not I'm happy with them at the time or not. Depends on what I call
Right.
them.
But yeah, so you have that
Realistically,
particular individual that starts your story that kind of gets it going a little bit, and they might use the player's history and things like that. That's all varied depending on the storyteller. But the basic thing is that person's there. He starts it, and everybody kind of throws in and gets to play a character in the world, and you all together, one way or another, tell a story. All right, gents.
I think one of the first place you really have to start with is finding a group of compatible players. If you're starting from scratch, like starting your own tabletop game or group, you know, you're going to have some trial and error. You guys are going to have to feel each other out, but it's important to find people that match what your desires in gameplay are, right? That's one of the reasons why Ryan, James, and I have been gaming for a lot longer than I'm going to say out loud.
Yeah.
That way Ryan doesn't feel old.
Y'all still got color in your hair. I'm jealous.
Yeah, Josie, your stuff. You went from black to salt. You went from pepper to salt real fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's important to find like compatible playstyles, and we definitely had some times where we were like there was some tension at the table, not like outright, but you got to figure out everybody's playstyle. You got to kind of figure out how you want the game to run, and you got to get along. So I mean, that's the first thing is definitely, you know, I'm not saying don't play with strangers, but you want to kind of get a feel for a table before you hop right in.
So for mine, again, we're talking bare bones, right? We're not going to be talking dice or anything like that because everybody knows you need dice, paper, and a pencil to play any tabletop RPG. I'm actually going to approach it with mindset. Now, for people, in my experience, that have no idea like what a tabletop RPG is or what a game of D&D looks like, they're generally very hesitant to just jump into the fray. And so I'm going to start off with a mindset so you know what you're walking into, hopefully to alleviate some of that anxiety and that stress when you're approaching a table. Now, I do agree with every point Travis just made. Finding a compatible table is very important, but that isn't where I would start. I'm actually going to address what Eric opened up on. It's what you need to think about when you're at the table that will make it fun for you. You can't think of your DMST individual as like a god, because that makes them adversarial. They are not your adversary. They are a narrator. All they do is tell you what happens in the world. You're the only one that actually takes actions. The DM does not. And so that's your first thing that you need to get into your head, is that the DM is not some all-powerful entity, even though technically he is, and they could do whatever they wanted to with the setting at any given time. Their job isn't to do that. Their job is to narrate reaction. Additionally, unless you're playing one-on-one, you need to realize that you are entering a game where you are one of the main characters, not the main character. Your character's backstory, while important, is a tool for the DM, not really something that you throw at the table in order to get your way. Now it kind of falls more into the etiquette, but I think that you realizing you're stepping in to be part of a team, and it's not the team versus the DM per se, is a great place to start at a fundamental level for tabletop RPGs. Eric, you're still muted, brother.
Yeah, I hate mutant, but I'm in a different room. All right, so the only thing I'd add to that is the one spot you kind of do want someone that is a little more experienced is just kind of your storyteller, just to kind of keep everything um, kind of together and going and stuff like that. Because if they're not as experienced, it can lead to some other things. And we do have some other high points we're going to hit. This is just our first one that we're talking about, but as we go along, you're going to see why it's important that your storyteller a little more experience. Not saying they have to have played every game or have years of experience. They realistically maybe played once or twice, and that would be good enough to run a story, in my opinion. But yeah, so Travis, you were next.
Yeah, two things. First, make sure we clip the part where Ryan said he agreed with Eric, because we're not going to see that again ever. And then,
Already done.
okay, good. Eric was like, I was on top of that one instantly. This was had to have that down immediately. No, the other thing I was going to say is, when you're first starting out, I think it's important to pick a system that's not overly complex. And that can be like a variety of things. You want one that's not going to be, especially if it's a bunch of people learning, you want rules to be fairly simple and fairly well explained, right?
We're going to
Jumping
do rules
into
right after this, just so you know.
Okay. I mean, this isn't just necessarily about rules, but it's how the game is played, like clear delineated actions as opposed to big obscure or nebulous things can lead to problems. Especially
Man,
for whoever is storytelling at first. If you don't have a good foundation to start with, jumping into something complex can be kind of rough.
yeah, I really want to argue with you on that, but I think I agree. It's hard for people to just jump into Call of Cthulhu, you know?
All right,
Yeah,
Bones, let's
honestly,
go. What
and
do you
like
got?
White Wolf is another one that can get really wild.
I disagree with everybody, other than Eric, because it is just a collaborative story. That's what TTRPGs is. It's a collaborative story
Yeah, I
with
think
with
everybody
an architect of rules that kind of lays over it, right? The guides you. I don't think you need to be a experienced to DM. We weren't when we started,
Yeah, we definitely
and
weren't.
No, I was
a
our
great
first
time.
DM. I had no idea what was going on.
Whatever. Maybe it sucks. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's super fun, but it doesn't matter. Just if you want to start a game and you've never DM'd before, fucking grab a book and do it. Maybe start with there's lots of like starter kits that are out there.
Absolutely.
Do try to find a group that you vibe with. It doesn't have to be. It could be a random group at a LCS or whatever, a game shop, something you find somewhere. It doesn't. Your friends, like, there's a whole bunch of different ways to find games and get into games. Find what works for you. And I think okay. So everybody says like D&D and like Pathfinder. That's what we talk about a lot. But there are thousands probably of different TTRPGs of all kinds of flavors. So find something that you're interested in playing. There's like stuff that's like easy, simple, one-shot kind of games. Honey Trap, I think, is one where you play bears that steal honey. That's the premise of the game.
Yep.
Whatever. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do.
Can we
so
pick that
find
up?
something that you're interested in playing, and I think that's the key to getting started. Just have fun with it.
You know what? And actually, I'm going to jump in before we get to the hands. I'm a little ahead of
fun.
you.
It's about victory. You need to be better than everyone. Min max everything that you do. Have your math rocks be superior to everyone else's math rocks.
All right,
It's
Bryce.
a competition.
So we keep saying things like find a group or find whatever. I want to cover that really quickly because it's an important deal for somebody that may not know. It's like, hey, they told me to just find a group. How the hell do I go about doing that? Finding a group can come in really two different ways. Either you have some friends that might be interested, open dialogue with them and see if they're interested in trying to get something going. I will admit to you that having a close group of friends makes this a little bit easier that might be open to the experience. Let's assume that you do not, or you live in a place where you don't really make a lot of close friends, but you have some days off work that you're wanting to try the game. This is where your local game shop comes in. Now, if you're involved in any kind of geekery, you have a place where you buy that, right? Now, if you're going down to Walmart, it's not going to help you. You might be able to find a game at Walmart. They have everything at Walmart, but it's going to be a little more hard. What you're going to want to look for is, realistically, I just go onto Google and I Google geek shops or nerd shops in the region, and you'll find some places that sell Pokemon cards or Magic Gathering cards, or that talk about their games or etc. unlimited kind of hangout, or even a gaming club. If you walk into this shop, even if they don't have it set up, the people that run it know where it's going to be. And so find any retailer that specializes in nerd material, and they can point you towards the closest gaming groups.
I was just going to bring up a few other resources. Social media is also a fantastic resource for finding gaming
Absolutely.
groups. obviously it gives you a good opportunity to kind of see what they're about before you like just jump in. You can kind of do some online sleuthing, as it were, while you're investigating groups. I did that for a little bit while I was in the army. I eventually gave up after I hit like 3 in a row that just didn't match my playstyle. I went to one, they sprung this on me, and I went to one gaming group where they're like, "Oh, we forgot to tell you, you have to speak in character." And I was just like, "I'm leaving." Like,
Hey, that's great
I
for those
have a
people, but
yeah, I have a charisma score of 4. Like, I'm playing a bard. He's definitely a better speaker than me. Like,
Don't worry, we are going to get to an acting portion of this. That is one of our
it ain't this guy.
things. No. I just mean like for our discussion in regards to starting out with the game. So I think
No,
that
I
was
get it.
a good core concept to kind of go over to give people a little bit of an idea. Now the next thing to do, and we've touched on it a little bit, and I said we were going to do it, is kind of the basic rules and like your role at the table in a sense. So what this basically means is no one should be expected to memorize the rule book, especially the first game. When I played my very first game of D&D, I didn't even get to see the player's handbook because at the time they weren't digital, or they might. I don't think they were. It's the early 2000s, so you had to buy it, and they were a little pricey and stuff like that. Needless to say, anyways, I didn't have a book, so I went to the table. But the big things that I was told for etiquette at the table was just to listen, contribute, and respect everybody else, which basically means when someone else is talking, you just listen, um, and you contribute to the game. Don't take away from it and stuff like that. And as you play the game, you get to know the rules. Um, I think that's a fantastic way to kind of learn, especially being a newer person, is to kind of see what people are doing, see how it plays out, and kind of go along with it. And if your DM, whatever, is pretty good at what they do, they can definitely help you walk through different things, like if you have questions and stuff like that. So just literally creating your character is a great way to learn a lot of the basic rules. I don't know who was first with their hand. Ryan.
all right. So this is the one that I think is going to be all encompassing, regardless of the system that you're playing in. And it's also the most common. I don't want to call it a mistake. The most common thing that I see new players kind of struggle with. Now, your DM, ST, arbiter entity that is running the game, they are going to be the one that describes outcome. You, as the player, nominate action. And so, regardless of how the rules work or what game you're sitting in, if you're with a half decent group of people, you can just tell them what you want to do and then ask how to go about doing that. So, I'm going to use Dungeons and Dragons since that's the most popular system that is attracting new players right now. When you want to make an attack, you can simply have no idea what your character sheet says in front of you, any of the rules, and you can look at the DM and be like, I really want to run up and attack this guy. How do I do it? And they are going to walk you through how to do it. Just one thing to remember is that you don't get to nominate outcome. You don't get to nominate the decapitation or any of that jazz, except for in very specific circumstances. And this is where things get very kind of applicable to the famous stuff. When you hear Matt Mercer on Critical Role say, "How do you want to do this?" That is him giving you the ability to nominate an outcome. It's a rare thing from a DM, and he uses it as a reward for a killing blow, most commonly. And so no matter what game you're playing, whether it's Call of Cthulhu, Dungeons and Dragons, any of the White Wolf games, Spider-Man Universe Unlimited, nominate your action, but don't narrate your outcome. That's the DM's job. It's Bones up next.
Yeah, I mean, I agree basically with all of that. By the way, I think one thing that we have left out a little bit, and I think is very important, is either if you're starting a game, or you need to have a what they call a session zero, where you meet with your party
Yeah,
and
that's a
your
fact.
DM, and you go over the things that you are okay with as a group, the things you are not okay with as a group, your expectations. You can talk about your party composition, like what do you want your character to be, because that way, you know, you don't, maybe everybody wants to be the same thing. That's fine too, ultimately, but you know, it's more fun if you mix it up. But you get to talk about all that, whether you want to do it like that or not.
And this is
Session
very
zero is very
important
important.
for things like trigger warnings. One of the
Yep.
most common things I take out of my game are things like child harm. A lot of people use this to de-stress and decompress from their work weeks, and so they don't want to deal with things that are serious problems or might trigger traumas in their past life. If your DM's
And
forcing that kind of stuff on you, he's bad DM.
yeah, and so like you have your session zero if you're starting a game. If you are joining a game, they've probably already had a session zero. So make sure you step in and talk to whoever that DM is and what their expectations are and what they're wanting to put into the story, and tell them what makes you uncomfortable, just to make sure that you are going to have fun when you're playing this game.
That's
Absolutely.
that's an excellent point.
Yeah, that should be the first thing before we get to anything else. That's the first step right
Well, I
there.
mean, like I said, I kind of touched on it, was finding people with compatible play styles. But yeah, a session zero is definitely a very, very important aspect. Having those clarifications and boundaries is also very good. I was gonna touch off on something that Ryan said a little bit before we got on session zero, because I emphatically agree with session zero. It's super important. But we're forgetting one of the basic things that you're going to need even when session zero comes up, especially if you're playing in person. And that is the almighty pencil.
I mean, I don't think
The
there's
DM's gonna have it.
there's not a requirement for that these days. Like you can have a
That's
computer,
true.
you can have your phone. Everybody has a phone, and I actually
That's
played
the
with a guy
next
who
topic.
his entire thing was on a phone. Like his entire character sheet, everything was on his phone. So these days,
No, dude, there's nothing quite like holding your character sheet in your hands. And then that sad disappointment when the first character you created on paper has to go in the trash because they died horrendously. You gotta.
Well, and I think before we get on to medium, right, which I think is the next topic, the last piece of advice that I would generally give is depending on your situation. It's weird. For new players that do not have an established group that are joining a new group or trying to get a new group going, unless you have somebody already in the group that's extremely experienced, don't in general don't try to do like a long campaign or a long story arc. Do one shot, do one that takes two
short adventures.
sessions to get it done. And maybe even if you start stringing it together where you do 4 one shots in a row and everybody's having fun, then it turns into a campaign. Cool. But don't try to overcommit yourself to a 12-year game.
Yeah, drop in, drop out games are actually fantastic for getting started. Ones that have either been running at a table a long time, that have people that cycle in and out as availability changes. So that's kind of one of those things that is nice. It is convenient, as opposed to trying to jump in on somebody's long running campaign. I was also going to say, as far as table etiquette goes with a group, realize that you may not be the main character. You are in fact a supporting character amongst other supporting characters.
Got over that too.
Or, well, then why was Ryan allowed to talk about it, but I keep getting interrupted?
I'm trying
But
to
no,
like
I'll
say it.
stop
should've-
then. I'll stop. I won't say. I'll leave the call.
Sorry. I'll be better. This is my fault this week, folks. I kind of was late to the party with the layout of the episode, so we're kind of getting confusing things right now, and that's my bad. But yes, so we'll jump to the next topic because everyone's talking about new things. So the next thing is really quick because we've talked about it several times before, but I did want to just kind of include it just because we haven't looked at it as a basic thing. So the next thing would be like what you need to bring to the particular game. So things we've already mentioned, like Travis showed dice, Bones mentioned laptop.
Positive attitude.
Ryan's mentioned, yeah, Ryan's mentioned more of the etiquette stuff that you bring, which is just as important as everything else. Like you can't run a game without a good attitude and good etiquette at the table, because I gives a shit what your dice look like if you're an asshole. That's just but yeah, so that's some stuff we really wanted to go up. Out of all of the nerd hobbies, this is probably one of the most cost effective ones, just because as a collective group you can definitely buy everything and kind of do it together. So you could all pitch in and get like a starter box or something like that, that come with dice. You could all share one set of dice. You could even share one pencil. So this is probably a misconception I've seen from just like the recent stuff I've looked around online, is that it's an expensive hobby. It's just, that's nonsense. It's literally the cheapest nerd hobby you can get into. But to you guys, I think Travis, you've got yours up.
Bones is up.
Oh, my computer's lagging. Sorry.
Yeah. I did want to mention one thing that we kind of forgot about how to find games, and it also helps with finding like a short game to start with. Cons, any
Yeah.
cons, they usually have like a gaming section. You can sign up and play a little one shot or whatever, and it's cool because there's usually experienced people there to walk you through it, and that'll help you get started like super easy. Usually,
They'll also
Absolutely.
have a ton of They'll have panels about getting a game started,
Yeah.
like either a short-term or long-term game. There's actually the Dallas Fan Expo has like 2 or 3 rooms where they dedicate just to basically walking people through STing, either storytelling or game master, dungeon master, whatever you want to call it.
They have things like the Pathfinder League and whatever the D&D one is too, where it's like literally
The
you can make a
Adventurers League, I
character
think is what's called.
and you can play a one shot, basically like 4-hour session with these people, and then you can take that character and you just keep it, and then you can go to another con somewhere and they'll have another Pathfinder League, and you just keep that same character and you say, here's my character.
Yep.
So you can just kind of keep it going through that, and it's a fun way to play, especially if you're just getting started. Good way to go.
And that is, yeah, that's
And
that's a
I
good
do
point.
want to go ahead and shout out Serica in our chat right now, talking about she was interested in rules and boundaries and what the end goal of the team is working towards the game. I think that's pretty simple. Rules and boundaries we kind of covered. That's going to be game to game. Realistically,
Making
your
Ryan
etiquette,
cry.
yeah,
What?
your etiquette and your mindset are going to be major there. And the end goal of a team should always just be to enjoy the story, no matter what game you're playing. Now, there are other stuff that comes up, and everybody has their own kind of where they gain value from the game. That's where we get to making fun of power gamers and stuff. There's actually nothing really wrong with that as long as you're not ruining the game for other people. Now, what to bring? Now, if you want to be ready to rock, yeah, you can do exactly what Eric said. Grab yourself a pencil, a spiral notebook, and a set of dice. A set of standard polyhedral dice, and you're ready to rock. But you know what you need to bring?
Magical
Nothing.
math rocks make clickety clacks.
Yeah. You don't need to bring
Nothing.
nothing.
Yeah.
You need to bring a can-do attitude.
That's
and be
what I
willing to
said.
learn.
I
I
think,
guarantee you, if we had somebody sit down at my table, my Monday table right now, that had nothing, that they needed a ride to the game, they would leave with a full set of gear that they needed to play. Pencils, dice, character sheets, notebooks, the whole 9 yards, because my crew would give them that. And any table worth its salt will be able to do the same.
Yeah. Also, don't worry about rule books. Like, it's nice to have the rule books,
Oh, yeah.
but in our modern age, it's like easy to access them digitally, or a lot of places have like free basic rule sets. A lot of games have free basic rule sets. So, like, especially getting started, don't worry about like going out and buying a bunch of books. Like,
Yeah, don't do
just
that.
give it a shot first.
Eric's right. This is probably the most cost-effective geek hobby of all time. Like,
For sure, especially if you play on like a league night at your local game store. If you get
Yeah.
in on one of those tables, they're going to provide pretty much everything. Most people are going to bring their own set of dice because that's a really personal choice.
Yep.
To the point where I'm pretty sure that everyone in this podcast has probably, on the bare minimum side, at least 6 sets.
Yeah. I have 6 sets within arm's reach presently.
At least.
Yeah.
I know
I'm
at
gonna
least
say,
3 of us here have an entire Crown Royal bag full of polyhedral
Yeah,
dice.
exploding,
Yeah.
exploding nearly.
Exploding.
Yeah,
that bitch.
like
yes.
it's way past its weight limit.
No,
You
no,
know
for
what?
sure. Everybody's right. I don't have 6 sets though. I don't have any sets. I just have random thrown together dice I purchased throughout time.
Hey, it's
So
a
if you go
set,
through
man.
my bag,
Yeah.
like
It's a set.
nothing matches. Now
I
the
never
next
said
one I want to
matching
go
set,
to.
I just said sets.
The next one I want to do, I know we're going to be on for a little bit. That's why I keep moving us along. This is a key one that I have a big issue with myself. It's how to role play without acting. So a lot of people have a misconception with Dungeons and Dragons and other games, Star Wars, everything. Yes, it can be a little bit funner if you act, but that's a totally personal thing. You don't have to do the voice. You don't have to perform. You don't have to do anything like crazy. But what you can do as a storyteller, like what I enjoy doing, is if people do take the time and put themselves out there doing things like that, I do like to reward it. And it's nothing against anybody else. Like you'll still get, like everyone still gets the same thing, but like I might give a little bump, like story wise, for the individuals that are putting themselves more just because they are. It's not an easy thing to generate a whole voice or to like perform an action and things like that. So well, I know it might not seem like the fairest thing in some people's eyes. I do think it deserves a little bump, a little something when you do it. Um, but yeah, I think that's basically it with what I have on it. So my computer's lagging like a champ. I don't know who's next.
I think Bones is up next.
Yep,
Yeah,
Bones is up next.
I don't have much to say on this other than do as little or as much role playing as you want. This is we are not a collectively critical role. We're not professional voice actors, but you can do that if you want. If you want
Yeah.
to do that, in fact, you can find groups where people dress as their characters. If you want to get that into it, it's like find what you want to do it at what your level you're comfortable doing it, and that's it. Like that's all I pretty much have to say on that. Like there's if you don't want to role play at all, you don't want to do voice, it's cool. That's what the mechanics are for, right? So just do what's fun.
I mean that was exactly what I was gonna do. Is like do the type of RP that you're comfortable with. I know our group usually collectively sometimes we'll say something very specific that we want our character to say. Most of the time, we're giving generalities, how we express things, how we want to go about interacting with other NPCs or other characters within the story is all based on our own comfort levels. And again, nothing against people that do that. That's just a level of intensity that I can't really match. Mostly because I start poking too fun at myself for trying to do accents, and so I end up like I I I could build a serious character and then end up a comedy act, trying to go too in character on it. Um, Bryce is like mechanics are more fun than role play. Yeah, Bryce, we knew you were going to hear on
Hey,
that
our
one. I
number
knew-
is here.
I knew our number cruncher was going to pipe in on that. But no, like yeah, like just definitely find again, and that goes back to finding a group that you're comfortable with. If you like narrating like verbatim what your character is going to say, go for it. My mind doesn't work like that because when I visualize my characters, there's very little dialogue that's visualized. I visualize in like emotions and I guess expressions. Like it's more emotive as opposed to like literal speaking. James, on the other hand, has a much more creative mind for dialogue, in my opinion. He'll get very into it. Ryan gets very into dialogue,
I get very
which
into
I
dialogue.
appreciate as a storyteller. I got to tell you, that's amazing. It does make it more fun for me. So yeah, like finding that level of comfort and then do what you enjoy. I mean, there's styles of games from I let my dice do the talking, Bryce, to LARP where you are the character. Like
Yeah, no dice involved.
Yeah, you're just going ham from start to finish. So find where you're comfortable. Be happy.
Yeah. Now, my
Make
input
Ryan
is
cry.
yeah. My input's going to be to reiterate what the other two gentlemen said because they're right. You should never do more than what you're comfortable with. There are people that may not be comfortable with it that want to be better at it, or somebody that wants to kind of practice at it. Now, the first thing I'm going to tell you is that if you're sitting at a table similar to Eric's, where he's rewarding role play, remember that any rewards that anybody in your party gets is a boon for the team. You are not adversarial. You are not an enemy of your tank or your healer. Any boost that the team gets, the team gets. Now, that being said, there are a lot of DMs that will reward in-depth RP. I'm actually one of those. And we've been making fun of Bryce this whole time. He's in the chat right now, and he is kind of famously our number cruncher guy. But I've watched him fall into RP on instinct really well.
Magical math rocks make clickety clacks.
But I've also watched him display anger at oppression and angst and rage at slavery and all of this kind of stuff. And you'll get there. And it's sometimes as easy as saying, hey, my character will get super pissed off at the captain and draw his sword. That's role play.
Yeah. Well, I think how you have your character act, even whether or not you're actually like role playing either a voice or direct dialogue or whatever. I'm going to counterpoint to Eric. I don't like when singular XP is added to a particular character, as opposed to say like a party XP pool. So like there was good RP tonight, I'm awarding the party bonus XP. If you're awarding individual people at your table XP, it's going to turn into, well, it can turn into a weird competition. You can also have people wildly different levels. So if I don't participate in dialogue in the same way because I'm playing a fighter who doesn't actually partake in dialogue because that's not their role, because there's been numerous times where my melee monkey brain kicks in where I'm just like, well, people with a charisma score are obviously going to do the talking. Why would I try to pipe in unless we're talking about something related to being a fighter? So it's kind of one of those things where you can fall into like a weird trap awarding special XP to singular players.
When it comes to those kinds of rewards, XP and magic items, that kind of stuff, that we'll have to cover a little bit later, because Travis is right. It can become a weird thing. When it comes to role play, though, if you are one of those that is wanting to become more comfortable with role play, start, like I just said, start very simple, narrating what your character would do or say, not necessarily in their voice or in any kind of first person, but more as a third person or an omniscient. Now, this is a little handy trick that I use, and this is going to be great for all of you parents, especially with young children out there. If you're wanting to become your voice actor style RP, you've watched Critical Role a whole bunch, and you want those moments at the table where the DM has set down his pencil and he's leaned back because everybody else is having a dialogue or a dinner scene, or a campfire RP, campfire role play, which is one of my very favorites. Read books to your kids. That's it. Read books to your kids, and every time you have a new character come in, try to do a slightly funnier voice. It doesn't need to be good. It needs to be funny. And that will help you become comfortable with changing your voice at the table. Now, sometimes I'm going to tell everybody this. When it comes to the voices, that's all fun and good if you enjoy that kind of thing. Let's say that you don't, or you have no experience with that. Then don't. Let your voice be your voice. Say what you want to say.
Have a good time. That's the whole goal of this, is have a good time. We're going to pop back onto that so many times.
All right, Bones, what do you got?
Just kind of two other parts to this too. For one, your character can have a high charisma and maybe you don't, like Travis was talking about, and it's fine if you can't do it and you can roll the dice. On the same note, maybe your character doesn't have a high charisma, but you are a charismatic person. Also, don't feel afraid to just talk things through too sometimes, because sometimes you don't even need to make a roll. Right? Like if you can role play, if you want to do that, you can do that. And secondly, you don't have to be consistent, really. Like if one day you say, I want to try to voice my character, and you can do that, and then you maybe don't like that, so you can just go back to being you, or maybe you do like it and you do that from now on. You don't have to just always do the same thing. You can try different things and again find what you like.
But yeah, what I meant in regards to like giving people stuff when they roll.
I was just say,
yeah, sorry, my lag is awful.
Change your accent every time at a new session. Play a doppelganger.
One thing I meant though in regards to like giving extra to people that do a little bit of the role playing is I don't make anything drastic or anything like that, and then everyone is still afforded the opportunity to get stuff like if you don't like the acting side of it. So there's still a way to get something more, I guess I would say. I really do like to kind of recognize people that do step out of their comfort zone and kind of put that little extra into voice acting, because I wish I had the courage when I sit at a table to try and test out a voice. and things like that, and it's just not in me. I don't know. I just nut, I guess. Anyways, so I do like to anybody that puts themselves out there, I do like to recognize it and kind of give a little extra.
You know what? This is actually a good opportunity before we move on to the next section. I'm going to bring it up one more time. We brought this up in our D&D episodes and some of our other tabletop episodes. When you were first starting, this is really more important than ever, but it's generally important regardless. We've mentioned finding a compatible table a lot. We've mentioned finding compatible people a lot. Now, you don't have to be perfect about this. The one thing that you should really make sure you are good with is that if you're trying to find a beginner-friendly table and you find one and the DM warns you we are not a beginner table, that is okay. You can walk away from that table. It is perfectly reasonable for somebody to say this may not be the best game for you, as it is for you to be like, this isn't the best game for me. I don't think that's going to be the average case. I think normally people are going to be like, absolutely, sit down. However, make sure that you're not taking things too personally when it comes to what table you sit at, because there are a lot of factors at play.
I think another thing important, speaking of jumping into a table, because we've welcomed in so many just completely fresh players, even as very seasoned role players. So yeah, I mean, jumping into an experienced table is not a big deal. I would bring up the perfect example of my wife had never played a single tabletop RPG in her entire life until she started dating me, and we immediately drug her into it. And she was overwhelmed at first because she was just like, my turns take forever by comparison. And I was like, you're looking at collectively, each person here has 20 years of experience rolling dice at a tabletop, in a tabletop setting. Our turns are going to go a little faster. Just because we know exactly what our characters do. A lot of us study our own character sheets. We have memorized stuff. We plan out what we're doing in advance. If Bones and I have turns, either I go right before or right after Bones, we always end up doing something that's going to interfere with the other's plan. I don't know why that is, but if we're next to each other on the initiative count, we're ruining the other one's turn.
Yeah, I want to argue,
inadvertently.
but the man's not wrong. Like
It happens so many times, and it's just me and Bones. Like, we'll even build complementary characters and still mess up each other's turns for some reason. But no, the other thing I was going to say is if you go into a table that's already existing, talk about the session zero things, talk about the stuff that you're comfortable with. Also, don't come in with the expectation that they're going to tailor the game to you.
Yeah,
but also don't have the expectation that you need to tailor yourself to something uncomfortable to fit in with the group, right? It's okay to not. And if you want to test it out and it turns out you're not comfortable with something, just throw up the deuces, tell them you had a, tell them you appreciate the opportunity and then leave. It's not a big deal to just express that you're not comfortable playing with the group and then trying something else. It's not one size fits all. Not every table is going to fit everybody. So it's okay to go through and try on one or two until you find a place you're comfortable.
Yeah, just to interject on Travis's point here, he's absolutely right. This is particularly important in horror gaming. Things like World of Darkness, Call of Cthulhu, and that kind of stuff. Even Dark Heresy and other 40K RPGs.
Apocalypse Ponies.
Yeah, Apocalypse Ponies. This is extremely important for horror gaming. What is used in horror gaming and horror narrations is just as varied and dramatic as you see in horror movies. And so you need to be sure, if you're going to sit down to play a horror game, that you are setting clear boundaries for what you're comfortable with and not comfortable with, and be okay with the group saying yes, no, and that kind of stuff. Eric.
So the last one we're going to go with is our table etiquette and kind of group play. We basically talked about this whole time a little bit here and there in each one of the topics. But the big thing to mention is, and it's hard, I know, but nobody should just steal the spotlight. Like, you can get very excited when something's going on. I do it, and I'm not even that social. But like sometimes, like there'll be certain moments in a fight, you're like, I fucking got this, and like you just know, or like maybe you're that charismatic guy, and you're like, I can fucking talk to everybody in the building, get all the information, all this, that, and the other. Like, it happens. I don't think most people mean it to happen, but it does. So the biggest thing for me in regards to etiquette and stuff like that would just be cognizant of there's more than just you there. So if you're having a conversation, I've done it before where I've had NPC and players stop talking for a minute and kind of move to other people, and had them do some stuff for a minute and then go back to this conversation. And one way I have them do that is simply by writing down like the last thing they were talking about. Like, if they don't write it down, I don't see them doing it. I, as the storyteller, might write it down real quick, so when I go back to them, I know where they can just pick it up and continue their conversation. Because there's nothing worse than sitting at a table and like one conversation takes like 10 minutes between one player and an NPC. You just alienate everybody else, and again, you might not even mean to. So that'd be one big thing for me with etiquette. I don't know who's next. Like I said, I'm lagging.
James is next.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about all kinds of etiquette kind of stuff slipped in through this whole episode. I think, again, like Eric's saying, like, the big thing to remember is that this is a collaborative story among everybody at the table. One thing I want to say for new DMs is to think of the kind of classic improv yes and. When people want to do something, say, I want to do this. Yes and is always a better answer than just saying no or shutting it down an idea flat out. So yeah, I think
I would say no, but
yeah,
right?
no, but can be also, or yes, but works the same. Yes, but that doesn't work right this way or something. But it's just, don't try to just shut down ideas. I think is like the point, though. Often try to be flexible with rules. I think is often more entertaining for most people. They have what we call the rule of cool. And if something is like a cool action and maybe there's not mechanics to support it, I don't know, just make something up on the spot. We've done that plenty of times. I've done that all the time. So you just, again, it's about having fun. Like, this is, to me, D&D or tabletop RPGs are my number one, like, nerd hobby. I'll always want to play. I could go decades without playing Magic. I love Magic.
Yeah, same.
But it's fine if I don't play. I have to play my GTRPG. If we don't have a game for like 3 weeks, I start like getting like,
I get giant yeah, I start fiending. It's a wild addiction. I was just gonna interject when we were talking about the main character syndrome. Every person at the table is going to have their time to shine. There's been some sessions where I've done very little because we're not in my character's element in any way, shape, or form. There's been times where we're in a cityscape and I'm playing, a druid. Not gonna be the
not
spot
a whole lot
where
going on.
Yeah, it's not my time to shine right now. And you'll have your moments, but again, it falls to your ST, like whoever's running the game, to make sure you cycle through your players. That way, everybody's getting a chance to interact. Everybody's getting a chance to do something, even if they can't do a lot. Because, like I said, the perfect example is being a druid in the middle of the city. That may not be, because there are urban druids that is an archetype that you can in fact build. Just going into like D&D. But
Barbarians at dinner.
Yeah, that may not be your time to shine. Play your character, RP it however you want, right? Have fun. But you may not be in the spotlight at that particular moment. But be patient. Your time to shine is going to come. You're obviously going to do better in melee than the bard. So you just,
Depending on the bard, man.
That's true. It depends on whose dice are hot.
Yeah,
that's a fact.
So yeah, it's like I said, it's just one of those things. Be patient. Like, I'm not saying, I'm not outright saying just like, oh, wait your turn, but you'll have your moments the same as everybody else. Everybody's going to get time in the spotlight.
That's going to segue into mine really nicely, and I'm going to lay this out flat. I believe that I'm speaking for the vast majority of the tabletop playing base when I say this. I'm going to talk about rage, and I'm going to talk about your character failing, and I'm going to talk about things going wrong. Hey guys, you know what's super awkward and everybody hates is when somebody feels super picked on because their dice rolled low and starts throwing their dice across the room or yelling or smashing the table or throwing cans of Coke. Don't do that.
Actually, you can throw your dice across the table if it's being a little shithead. All right,
Yeah,
pick
if
up a
the
different dice,
Yeah,
throw that one out. You don't need it anymore.
I put
But yeah.
mine in timeout. If I have cold dice, I'm like, you're going away. I don't even.
But nobody likes that awkward situation where you're sitting at a table watching somebody have a temper tantrum like a toddler. You're an adult. Game like it.
Dude, there is nothing more frustrating to be in like a situation where it's your element and the highest thing you can roll on a dice is like a 3.
Yes.
It sucks because like
Oh,
this
it
is supposed to
absolutely
be your
sucks.
character's expertise. Oh, I'm the perfect example of it. I have to nominate with one of my characters that I'm attacking left-handed or I'm not hitting anything. The stupid part is it works, and so I keep doing it. Does that make
But yeah,
sense logically? No.
my advice for situations like that, it's going to happen. I, as a DM, get irritated and frustrated at certain situations. Not a lot, because truth be told, I get just as much fun out of my party succeeding as I do any part of the game. I kind of like watching them just steamroll stuff. But there are
Unless it's
times where, I
unless
have
it's
a
ugly
boss.
because you kill his characters so often.
But if I have a boss that just gets aced in one round, it's happened a lot. And sometimes I'm like, man, I had such a cool cinematic experience being planned. Just roll with that. Don't throw a fit.
The whale bomb for your big bad evil guy was
Oh, no.
probably one of my favorites.
No, my favorite one, honestly, is Bones's giant winged brontosaurus swarm. That was
It's a good one.
that was
That was a
ridiculous.
good one.
But in any case, don't be a rage bait. And if you are getting very angry and you're feeling that, put it into your character. Have them be angry in game and describe actions in game where they are angry.
Yeah.
That's a great way to get into role playing and
As a
take your
barbarian.
emotions. Yeah, take your emotions that you're feeling and put them into the game. Don't throw your Mountain Dew, man. Don't chuck pencils. And you know what? More than anything, don't throw the bloody rule book.
No,
They're
don't
fucking
damage
expensive.
the book.
I've seen people throw rule
Never
books,
damage
and that no, that's a good way to get uninvited from the table forever.
I'm getting
So-
nostalgic. Remember when Kalen got frustrated on the rule and then ate the paper?
yeah. So that's a major etiquette thing, is game like an adult. Eric?
And one thing that's nice is if your storyteller, DM, whatever, is a little experienced, you can kind of start to see when people get frustrated, and you can kind of alleviate that tension a little bit to help out. Like you could do something corny, like maybe they roll a 1 and they're really frustrated, but maybe like their weapon slides out of their hand, but it like happens to, I don't know, hit a table or something, and something funny happens, or I don't know, it shuts the door, or like there's all kinds of different things you can have still happen because there's all kinds of quirky things that go on with ones. So you could definitely alleviate some of the tension because it can be frustrating, like everybody said. So as a storyteller, DM, whatever, you can make those failed attempts be a little funny or something like that, just to help out, because some people.
And that's going to go along with knowing your players.
Yeah, it really is. One thing I'm going to bring up, and this is again for every setting, right? But particularly D20 settings, something to bear in mind. Your character's capabilities, your skills are static. They are on your character sheet, and you know what they are. That die that you roll to do a thing, that represents everything else. That's the environmental factors. That's the luck factors. That is not your character. The die is not your character's capability. It's the world affecting your character.
That's being an expert in your field and then still having to Google something because you're having a brain fart. Like,
Yeah, and sometimes it's as easy as, we've all seen it in real life. What's that pitcher several years ago that threw a ball and the pigeon hit it? The guy
Randy
that's
Johnson.
golfing.
That was a long time ago. Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson, he drilled that pigeon.
The guy
miles an hour.
that's golfing and the seagull snatches his ball right out of the air. The basketball player that there's spilled Gatorade on the ground and he messes up his layup, whatever. It's environmental factors that were unseen or unaccounted for that affect your character. And sometimes it's good. Sometimes something happens where there was a minor earthquake in Utah and my golf ball fell right in the hole. That's your natural 20 moments. Sometimes it's bad. And so that's what the die is. That's what the dice represent in most games. Even including things like World of Darkness, where the dice are actually made up of your skills. It's still a little bit of environmental luck factor. And so don't take a dice roll as your character's capability, because it's not static. It's not what you've learned.
But it is frustrating when you keep
Well-
rolling.
Oh,
twos.
absolutely. I know we're running a little bit of time, but I'd like to push just a little extra because I want to discuss Medium. Now, guys, everything we've talked about up to this point has almost exclusively been for physical games, where you walk into a game shop, grab a pencil and some dice, and play. There are other options available to you, and I want to bring up VTTs. Now, this is not the cheapest option. Generally, your licensing on these can be fairly expensive, and gaining a library on a VTT can be very expensive. VTT, of course, standing for Virtual Tabletop. This is where people play on Roll20, Fantasy Grounds, D&D Beyond, using things like Discord or Skype, or I guess not Skype anymore. And this can be an entire amazing RP experience by itself. It comes with a whole nother host of etiquette, but even if you are entirely by yourself, living in a place that all you have is an internet connection, you can still find a game of D&D. Travis.
It does have its own distinct advantages. I was going to bring a couple. Is the need for physical material is much lower with a VTT, because if you have an internet connection and can log into whatever program you're running for your virtual tabletop, you write.
Shout out Fantasy Grounds, not a sponsor, but you should be.
Fantasy Grounds being one. I think Roll20 is another virtual tabletop that's very popular. So one of those things where if you can log into it, you can use the virtual tabletop. So you don't have to bring pens and pencils. You don't have to bring your Crown Royal bag full of dice. As much as it breaks my heart that that's not something I get to do anymore, virtual tabletop has made it possible to continue gaming with my friends. So that's always going to be it's always going to be special to me, because I can still play with my original D&D group from high school.
Yep.
Thanks to virtual tabletops.
So yeah, virtual tabletops, guys. If you want to get into D&D, and virtual tabletop is the option that you were most comfortable with, social media is your best friend. Sites like Reddit, Facebook, and other areas where you can connect with players, or even
be careful on Reddit.
Yeah. Even if you can find some of your older friends that you're still in contact with, and you can team up over Discord. Discord is my favorite tool to combine with a VTT. I think it's absolutely fantastic. It has allowed, like Travis said, the group of friends that I've had since high school to continue gaming. This is how you go about it. Find a friend that you are comfortable with, or friends that you haven't connected with in a couple of years, and send them a message saying, hey, let's meet on Discord and try some Dungeons and Dragons. Let's try some Werewolf the Apocalypse. And so Bryce is right. Shout out to Bryce in our chat right here. He was pushing for virtual tabletops for a very long time, years, I believe, with an S. And we were very resistant because we're old fogies and we liked analog gaming.
The magical math rocks make clickety clacks.
Indeed. It was actually Bryce, and shout out to Jack Knorr. I don't know if he watches these episodes, but I hope he does.
He should.
Because
if he doesn't, I'll be mad.
Bryce and Jack definitely got me into VTTs and made it possible to continue gaming. Now I am going to close my little segment off here, guys. Same thing I do all the time. If you've made it this far into the episode, guys, we're at an hour and 10 minutes. You obviously like what you hear. So consider giving us a like, because it's huge. All that algorithm stuff is simple for you, but it means the world to us. So give us a like, give us a comment, let us know what you think about tabletop RPGs, and most importantly, give us a follow, because we know the way.
All right.
Travis.
I was getting ready to wrap, but if James has something he needs to add, now's the time.
Yeah, of course. I gotta ask a question.
Yeah, gotta ask.
Let her rip.
In the spirit of tabletops, we have seasoned players and new players alike. So if you're a seasoned player, just drop a comment with what your favorite system is. If you're a new player, somebody that wants to get started, maybe look some stuff up and maybe throw it in the comments like what you might be interested in playing. There's tons of options: cyberpunk, horror, fantasy, sci-fi,
The sky is the limit.
whatever. So just drop it in the comments. Maybe we will do an episode on that one specifically at some point.
Absolutely.
And so with that, we will be bringing.
Well, a
this-
minute, we got to talk about
Oh.
next episode.
Oh yeah, tail ends.
So next week, because Batman is such a big thing this month,
Batman
we're gonna do like
Day.
our cult classic constellations on Batman for week 1 and week 2. We'll see what we do with Batman. It's kind of up in the air right now, but we'll be talking a lot of the older Batman stuff. Some of the stuff people don't talk about. The earlier on thingies with Batman, and then we'll kind of see where it goes from there and how it evolves. But that's kind of where we want to go with it, because such a huge iconic comic book character, probably able to defeat anybody single-handedly with prep time. So it'll be nice and fun, and the best villains. I mean, Condiment Man. Condiment Man would absolutely destroy
his
Tony Stark.
his rogue gallery is so good.
Yeah.
Bones left us with a question. I have another one for the audience. Is it Batman's, Batmen, or Orphanarium?
Oh, good grief.
Let me know.
I don't know
Let me
what
know which one it is.
Orphanarium.
Let's go.
So with that,
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
yeah, and with that,
Okay.
we're gonna bring this episode to a close. We've been crossing the Nerdverse. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
See you guys.
Goodbye.
It's nice to say goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.